Welcome back, everybody. This is Retro Replay with a retro review of Gojira Kaiju Daikessen, or Godzilla Monster War for the Super Famicom. This review is a special request from my cousin, who has an excellent YouTube channel named Jurassic Reviews that covers Jurassic Park and Godzilla items. If you're interested in that, I will leave a link in the description down below. Godzilla Monster War is a pretty basic one-on-one fighting game, and in this footage, I'm gonna play as Godzilla and play against each of the other characters. And in the first match here, we've got Anguirus. And just to note, I'm not a huge Godzilla fan. I may butcher the names of these characters, so I apologize ahead of time. One thing I'd like to start off with here that I really like about this game is the music and the atmosphere. I think they did a very good job capturing the audio from the movies and the fighting and just the general atmosphere of the game. I just think it's very well done. The fighting, on the other hand, is just okay. It's not great. The controls are a little weird. You have a light and strong attack, as well as a grab and a dash. But those are all the controls in the game. Each character does have special moves that you can pull off that have the typical Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat style button presses, like down to forward attack, or forward to down attack, or a half circle backwards to forwards and then back attack, things like that to pull off these different special moves. There's also special grab moves, which I was really struggling to pull off in this footage, where you can grab the opponent and bite them and things like that, but I was not able to pull those off in this. You'll also notice the meters down in the bottom left and the bottom right that look like the characters. When those are filled up and flashing white, that is an extra special move. This is called the Wrath move, and it's usually a more complicated button press, like the half circle, back to forward, back attack, something like that, and that will pull off this Wrath move, which is extra powerful, and will typically, if it lands, it'll typically take off 25% or 33% of their health, somewhere around there. It's very powerful. You could see there at the end of that round that Anguirus pulled off his Wrath move and just destroyed me at the end of that match. Next up here, we have the iconic three-headed monster, King Ghidorah. Another thing that I do really like about this game are the monster sprites. I think they look really cool. The animations are a little janky. They don't have a very high frame rate, but I think the character models themselves look pretty accurate to the movies and are pretty good looking for the Super Nintendo. I think the animations could be better, like I said, but I think in general the sprites look pretty nice. And in that same line, I think the stages themselves also look pretty nice. There's a good variety in the stages. They take place across Japan, just in different areas of Japan, and they look pretty nice. So all in all, I think the graphics of the game are pretty good for the Super Nintendo. Next up here we have Gigan with his laser eye. So he does have a laser eye projectile that he can shoot, which can be very difficult to block. And if I didn't state this already, I'm terrible at this game. I really don't know what I'm doing. I tried to learn Godzilla's moves as I was going through this gameplay and just trying to learn the game, but I'm not good at all. This is actually a very difficult game, and it can be very difficult to pull off your moves because they happen a little slow. So if you're being attacked, it's a little difficult to pull those moves off and get the timing right. But yeah, I'm just not very good at this game. I do win a couple matches in this footage, which is great, but you know, in general, I didn't really know what I was doing. Another cool thing about the graphics in this game are how they try to show the size of the monsters. You know, basically the levels look small compared to the monsters. The monsters are supposed to be monster size, so you know there's a Ferris wheel in the background that is just dwarfed by the monsters. But also, as they're fighting and jumping around, the level is shaking every time they land. You know, it starts shaking, the screen is shaking, and also the backgrounds can get destroyed. The buildings can crumble. That Ferris wheel broke apart as they were fighting and jumping around, which I think is a really neat touch in the game, having level destruction like that and having the shaking of the screen as they're jumping around. It's a nice little effect. But somehow the Japanese people rebuilt that Ferris wheel for round 2. I don't know how they did it, but they did it. And this is one of the few matches that I actually win against Gigon here. I don't know how I did it, but I came back here in round 3 and was able to take him out and get a win. Like I said, this is one of the few wins that I got, but I was getting better as I played. Like with most games, it just takes practice and you just got to go along. Another thing that I don't understand about this game are the points. They give all the points to the enemy, but I won. I don't understand how they're capturing those point totals. It makes absolutely no sense to me. Next up here we have Megalon, who has a torpedo-like special attack, but he also has probably the strongest wrath attack in the game. It's well over 50% damage if it lands. I'm reading here that there's video captured of somebody doing 88% damage with the wrath attack, which that is a little ridiculous to me, that you can be fighting against somebody and winning and they can just do one move and beat you. That I don't like about fighting games like this. That is definitely a con to this, that they have moves that are so powerful that you can win a match with one move. It's a little ridiculous. But I guess that was something they were starting to add to fighting games around this time, like the super moves. Even in Street Fighter and other games, they started adding these super combos and super moves that would do a lot of damage. That's when fighting games really started to lose some of the interest for me. It just became a little bit too much. That, like I said, people could win a match with one move or one set of combos. At least with combo moves, it takes a lot of skill to pull them off typically. But if you can just do a short button press combo to pull off some move that takes off 88% of the health, that's a little ridiculous. Even though Megalon has that ridiculous Wrath move, I was still able to defeat him. He was, again, one of the few matches that I was able to win, and I barely won this in the 3rd round. But hey, a win is a win. Next up here, we have another incredibly iconic character from the Godzilla franchise, Mecha Godzilla. Mechagodzilla has a force field, missiles, laser eye beams, a chest beam, and can fly. These are all the moves that were in the movies. So it's kind of cool that, you know, he does have all those moves, but it makes him very powerful and very tough to beat. Another gameplay mechanic that I haven't commented on yet, I want to clarify. So the yellow meters at the top are the health meters, of course, but below that you see this blue and purple meter. That is a stun meter, so as you're attacking the enemy or as they're attacking you, that meter can fill up, and once it fills up all the way, you will be stunned, and you are basically incapacitated for a few seconds. Somehow I was able to take down Godzilla here in 2 rounds. I don't know how, but like I said, I started getting better at the game and I was learning the wrath moves and getting better at pulling off the special moves. So yeah, I was able to beat him in 2 rounds. I didn't even have to go 3 rounds with him. So take that, Godzilla. Next up here, we have probably the coolest looking character in the game, Biolante, if I'm saying that right. It's a very impressive sprite. It's very neat to see this on the screen. And actually, it's an interesting fight. The special moves are really cool. Another little interesting tidbit about this game, it also exists on the TurboGrafx 16 CD, or whatever that's called in Japan, the Turbo Duo CD or something like that. It does also exist on that console, but it is not good at all. It actually only has 2 buttons, and one of those buttons is jump. So you actually only have 1 attack button in that game, whereas in this game, up is jump. But just look at how impressive these sprites are. I think this is so cool, and they're fighting in water, which I think is also really neat looking. This was one of the more interesting fights. Even the little icon down in the lower right corner for the character looks just like him. I thought that was really cool. It's a nice little touch. He does give me a good old-fashioned butt whooping in this round, though. He just destroys me, throwing me around, shooting these projectiles at me, getting me with his vine attacks. He's really tough and just really got me good. Next up here, we have another memorable and iconic character from Godzilla, Mothra. This fight is pretty tough. I didn't really stand much of a chance here. Mothra can fly, so he can easily go up and down in height in the maps or in the levels, which makes it very difficult to attack. I started to figure out ways to shoot my fire breath at different elevations in the map to be able to hit him out of the air, but in general, he's very difficult to attack. This is actually the last fight that I'm going to show here. I don't make it to any of the boss fights in this, but there are 3 boss fights if you're able to successfully beat all of these characters. There's a boss fight against Godzilla 2. There's also a Super Godzilla fight, and then the final boss is Goten, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Like I said, I don't make it to them, so I don't get to show that footage here. But I'd like to give some final thoughts here as we're getting to the end of this video. This is just an okay fighting game, in my opinion. For the fighting, I would probably give it a 6 out of 10. For the graphics, I would probably give it an 8 or a 9 out of 10. I think the levels look great, the characters look great. And for the music and sound, I'd probably also give it an 8 out of 10. I thought the music is really well done. The sound effects are well done. In general, it's a good game. I wish the fighting was a little bit better, but I did enjoy playing it. I'm just not very good at it, so I didn't get very far. But yeah, that's it for this video. If you enjoyed the video and the review, please leave a like and consider subscribing to the channel, and don't forget to click that bell icon to get notified of my next upload. Thank you.